The walls of Oakdale Federal Correctional Institution have witnessed many broken men, but I refuse to be counted among them. Not when my daughter Jessica was getting married in 3 days, and my family had collectively decided I didn't deserve to attend. My name is Daniel Parker. 4 years ago, I was a respected investment advisor in Chicago with a thriving practice, a beautiful family, and a reputation built on 20 years of impeccable service. Today, I'm inmate 48721, serving a 7-year sentence for financial fraud I didn't commit. Your invitation to the ceremony has been rescinded, my brother Robert informed me during his monthly visit, his voice clinically detached as if delivering a weather report rather than crushing news. The family feels your presence, even symbolically, would cast a shadow over Jessica's special day. By the family, he meant himself and my ex-wife Linda, who had wasted no time rebuilding her life with Richard Coleman, her attorney during our divorce proceedings. The same man who now stood to walk my daughter down the aisle in my place. What they didn't know was that I'd been preparing for this moment. Prison gives you 2 things in abundance: time to think and motivation to act. For 3 years, I had meticulously gathered evidence that would not only prove my innocence but reveal who had actually committed the crimes I was convicted of. The letter I'd written wasn't a plea for inclusion or a father's sentimental wishes. It was a precisely calculated bombshell, timed to detonate at the exact moment Jessica and her fiancé Brad would have their first dance. My cellmate Torres looked up from his book as I sealed the envelope. "You sure about this, Parker? Weddings are supposed to be happy occasions. Some truths can't wait for convenient timing," I replied. And this truth would stop the music entirely. The case against me had been meticulously constructed. Client funds misappropriated. Falsified statements. Offshore accounts opened in my name with documentation bearing what appeared to be my signature. The prosecution presented a compelling narrative of a financial advisor who succumbed to greed after 2 decades of playing by the rules. What they couldn't explain was motive. I had no gambling debts, no drug habit, no secret family to support. The money that vanished, nearly $4.7 million belonging to 12 long-term clients, wasn't traced to any extravagant purchases or hidden assets of mine. "Sometimes the simplest explanation is the correct one," the prosecutor told the jury during closing arguments. Mr. Parker saw an opportunity, and he took it. The jury deliberated for just 6 hours before returning a guilty verdict. My family's reactions split along predictable lines. Linda, already emotionally distant for years, filed for divorce within weeks. My brother Robert, always conscious of his political aspirations as a state senator, issued a carefully worded statement expressing profound disappointment while distancing himself from my regrettable actions. Only Jessica, 22 and just starting graduate school, initially stood by me. She visited every Sunday for the first year, bringing photos of her life, updates about her studies in psychology, and eventually, news about Brad, the young attorney she had started dating. "Dad, I know you didn't do this," she would say, her hand pressed against the visitor's room glass. "We'll find a way to prove it." But as months turned into years, her visits became less frequent. Her wedding announcement came via a reluctant phone call rather than an in-person visit. "Brad's family is concerned about my connection to the case," she explained hesitantly. "His father is a federal judge, and they're worried about appearances." What Jessica didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I had found an unexpected ally in Oakdale. My cellmate, Miguel Torres, wasn't the drug dealer his record suggested. Before his conviction, he had been a forensic accountant specializing in detecting sophisticated financial fraud. "Your case has the hallmarks of professional framing," Torres told me after reviewing the trial transcripts I'd obtained. "Someone with insider knowledge of your business practices and client relationships constructed this." Together, we began a methodical investigation from within prison walls. Using Torres's outside contacts, my limited phone privileges, and carefully coded letters to former colleagues who hadn't abandoned me, we slowly assembled a counter-narrative to the one that had sent me to prison. The evidence pointed to one inescapable conclusion. Someone close to me had orchestrated my downfall. Someone who stood to benefit from my imprisonment and professional destruction. Someone who would be attending my daughter's wedding. Prison has a way of sharpening your perceptions. When your world shrinks to a 6x8 cell, you notice patterns and connections that might have eluded you in the distractions of normal life. Torres and I established a routine. Every evening after dinner count, we would spread our accumulated evidence across our small metal table. photocopies of financial records, visitor logs, correspondence from my former assistant Melissa, who still believed in my innocence. "The money movement is too sophisticated for an amateur," Torres observed, tracing the complex web of transactions that had been attributed to me. "This has the signature of someone with advanced knowledge of both financial systems and forensic detection methods." A breakthrough came 9 months into our investigation when Melissa managed to access archived security footage from my office building. The backup server had retained video that wasn't included in the trial evidence, footage showing someone entering my office at 2:17 a.m., 3 days before the first fraudulent transaction. The figure was careful, face obscured by a baseball cap, but the height and build were distinctive. More telling was the familiar ease with which they navigated my office, knowing exactly where the spare key was hidden, exactly which filing cabinets to access. "Someone who's been in your office many times," Torres noted. "Someone comfortable in that space." Another piece fell into place when we traced the timeline of events against my brother Robert's financial records, which Melissa had quietly obtained through a contact at his bank. 3 significant cash deposits made to his personal account coincided precisely with withdrawals from the fraudulent offshore accounts. "Politicians always need money," Torres said, "especially ones with gambling habits they keep hidden from voters." But the most damning evidence came from an unexpected source. Linda's teenage son from a previous relationship, my stepson Eric, had maintained contact through occasional letters. In one, he mentioned offhandedly that Richard Coleman had been hanging around Mom for months before you got arrested. The picture that emerged was devastating. My brother Robert facing mounting gambling debts that threatened his political career. Richard Coleman, an attorney specializing in financial crimes, who had coveted both my practice and my wife. Linda herself, who had seemed suspiciously unsurprised by my arrest. They had conspired to frame me, dividing the spoils of my destruction. Robert taking a portion of the stolen funds, Richard taking my family and eventually my client list, Linda escaping a marriage she had wanted to leave for years. The final confirmation came 3 weeks before Jessica's wedding. Eric sent me a USB drive hidden in a hollowed-out book, footage from Linda's home security system that she didn't know he could access. It showed Robert, Richard, and Linda in the living room, glasses raised in a toast. "To Daniel," Richard said, "may he enjoy his new accommodations." Torres whistled low when we viewed it on a contraband phone. "You've got them. This plus the financial trail is enough for a retrial." But I wanted more than legal vindication. I wanted my daughter to know the truth before she bound herself to a family built on my destruction. The wedding was scheduled for Saturday at the Lakeview Country Club, an ironic choice, as I had been a member there for 15 years before my conviction. Jessica and I had often played tennis on its clay courts on Sunday mornings, a tradition that continued until she left for college. My letter needed a reliable courier, someone who could ensure it arrived at precisely the right moment, someone who wouldn't be intercepted by Robert or Linda. The answer came in the form of Sam Whitaker, my former business partner who had dissolved our firm after my conviction, not out of belief in my guilt, but to salvage what remained of our client's trust. We had maintained infrequent contact, and his daughter Megan was one of Jessica's bridesmaids. "I need your help, Sam," I said during our carefully scheduled call 3 days before the wedding. "One last favor." His hesitation was palpable. "Daniel, I've tried to stay neutral in all this, for the sake of what's left of my practice. This isn't about me anymore," I replied. "It's about Jessica making an informed choice about the family she's marrying into, about her knowing the truth before it's too late." After a long silence, he agreed to have Megan deliver the sealed envelope with specific instructions. It was to be given to Jessica during the traditional father-daughter dance, the dance Richard Coleman would be having with my daughter. The letter itself was a masterpiece of restrained precision. Torres, with his forensic accountant's eye for detail, helped me craft a document that was neither emotional screed nor dry technical explanation. It laid out the evidence methodically, included access codes to a secure cloud drive containing all our supporting documentation, and ended with a simple question: "Do you want to begin your married life surrounded by this deception?" The night before the wedding, I could barely sleep. Torres watched me pace our small cell, 5 steps in each direction, over and over. "What if she doesn't read it?" I asked. "What if Megan can't deliver it? What if they've anticipated this somehow?" Torres, ever practical, shrugged. "Then you try again another way. Truth doesn't expire, Parker." But I knew this particular truth had a shelf life. Once Jessica became part of Brad's family, once she took his name and bound herself to his world, the barriers to believing me would multiply. Saturday morning arrived with institutional breakfast and the usual counts. I sat in the prison's small chapel during the hours I knew the wedding would be taking place, not praying exactly, but seeking whatever peace might be found. At approximately 6:30 p.m., when the reception would be in full swing, my contraband phone vibrated with a text from Sam. Envelope delivered. Now everything depended on whether Jessica would open it, whether she would believe what was inside, and most importantly, whether she would have the courage to act on what she learned. The next hours were the longest of my incarceration. The first indication something had changed came precisely at 8:47 p.m. My contraband phone, a carefully maintained piece of technology smuggled in by Torres's network, buzzed with an unexpected message from Megan Whitaker. She read it. The text said simply, "Everything stopped. In the prison's communal area, I maintained my composure. But inside, every nerve was electric with anticipation. Torres watched me carefully. Careful, Parker. Poker face." The details emerged gradually. Sam called first, his voice a mixture of professional calm and personal tension. Jessica had received the envelope during what was supposed to be her dance with Richard Coleman. Instead of the traditional moment of familial celebration, she had stepped away from the dance floor, her white wedding dress a stark contrast against the ballroom's ornate walls. She read the entire document, Sam reported, every single page. Then she called Brad aside. By 9:15 p.m., the wedding reception had transformed from a carefully choreographed social event to something entirely different. Witnesses later described Jessica standing at the microphone, her wedding veil still perfectly in place, addressing the assembled guests. "Before we continue this celebration," she said, her voice carrying a clarity that silenced the room, "I need everyone to understand something about my family's history." Brad's father, the federal judge who had been so concerned about appearances, reportedly went pale. The USB drive I had carefully compiled, containing financial records, security footage, and sworn statements, was being simultaneously uploaded to multiple secure servers. Jessica had inherited more than just my looks. She had inherited my strategic thinking. "My father," she told the stunned wedding guests, "has been wrongfully imprisoned, and I can prove it." Sam's final message came through around 10:30 p.m. "Forensic audit team has been contacted. Brad's father is calling his connections. Multiple investigations initiated." Torres looked at me, a rare smile crossing his typically stoic face. "Some daughters," he said, "are worth more than any legal team." What none of them knew, what I couldn't reveal yet, was that the evidence Jessica was presenting was only the beginning. The full story of my frame-up went deeper than anyone suspected. My brother Robert's political career was already crumbling. Richard Coleman was facing potential disbarment. Linda was being questioned about her role in the conspiracy. But the most important result was something more personal. My daughter had chosen truth over family tradition. The music at her wedding had stopped, but a different kind of symphony was just beginning, and I was going to make sure the entire world would hear it. The next 48 hours moved with a velocity that seemed almost supernatural. Jessica's wedding day revelations triggered a cascade of legal and personal consequences that would reshape our entire family's narrative. By Sunday evening, federal investigators were serving warrants. My brother Robert's pristine political office became a crime scene, with boxes of financial records being carefully cataloged. Richard Coleman was placed on immediate administrative leave from his law firm, his reputation in tatters. Linda was brought in for questioning, her carefully maintained social facade crumbling under the weight of evidence Jessica had so strategically released. Sam Whitaker called me directly, a rare privilege in my restricted communication environment. "The forensic audit is revealing more than we initially suspected," he said. "This goes beyond just framing you. There's a larger network of financial manipulation." Torres, listening on the extension, made a low whistle. "Networks always have more layers than you first see." Jessica arrived at the prison Monday morning, still wearing vestiges of her wedding attire, her white dress now replaced by a simple business suit. Her wedding veil traded for a determined expression that was startlingly familiar to me. "I need you to tell me everything," she said, sitting across from me in the visitor's room. "Not just about the financial fraud, but about everything that happened before." I realized then that my daughter wasn't just fighting for my exoneration. She was conducting a full-scale investigation into a conspiracy that ran deeper than anyone had imagined. Brad, her new husband, had become an unexpected ally. As a junior federal prosecutor, he was using his connections to expedite the investigation, carefully navigating potential conflicts of interest.
"The USB drive you prepared," Jessica said, sliding a folder across the table. "It wasn't just about proving your innocence. You were tracking something much bigger." She was right. The financial trail I'd uncovered suggested connections to a broader network of corporate fraud that extended far beyond my individual case. "Some truths," I told her, echoing a lesson I'd learned in prison, "take time to fully reveal themselves." The letter I'd sent to her wedding, what seemed like a simple act of a desperate father, was actually the first domino in a much larger plan, a plan that was now fully in motion. "Are you ready?" I asked Jessica. Her smile was my answer. The real investigation was just beginning. 6 months after the wedding that changed everything, my exoneration was complete. The federal investigation Jessica triggered revealed a complex network of financial fraud involving multiple corporations and political figures. My release from Oakdale wasn't just legal, it was triumphant. Brad, now working as a special prosecutor, used the evidence we'd meticulously collected to bring down a significant white-collar crime ring. Richard Coleman and my brother Robert faced multiple federal charges. Linda's involvement in the conspiracy led to her own legal troubles. Torres, my former cellmate, became an unexpected hero. His forensic expertise was crucial in untangling the financial complexities of the case. The justice system that had failed me now sought his consultation. Jessica and Brad established a legal foundation dedicated to helping wrongfully convicted individuals, using our story as a catalyst for systemic change. "Some families are built on secrets," Jessica told me during a family dinner at our newly reclaimed home. "Ours is built on uncovering them." The most surprising transformation was in my relationship with my daughter. Prison hadn't destroyed our connection. It had forged it into something stronger, more authentic. Sam Whitaker, who had initially been hesitant to get involved, now served as a key witness in the ongoing investigations. His willingness to support the truth had restored his own professional reputation. "Your wedding stopped the music," I told Jessica during a quiet moment, but the symphony of truth was just beginning to play. She smiled, that familiar smile that now carried the weight of everything we'd been through. The USB drive that had contained our evidence sat framed in our living room, a reminder that sometimes the most powerful weapon is the truth. If you've been moved by our journey of resilience and justice, subscribe to follow our ongoing fight against systemic corruption. Some stories don't end with freedom. Some stories are just beginning.